Just got done watching, just got off work actually. But before I left work, I checked out the last half of the Kovalev Ward fight. I watched the first half, just the highlights. I'm not gonna act like I sat here in detail. I didn't watch the entire fight all the way through. I got it in bits and pieces. My viewers, what I think about it is going to be a little inaccurate at times, probably. But I just want to talk a little bit about boxing in general, because just quickly, very, very minimal information on the fight and stuff, but I'm hearing like robbery and stuff. It was a unanimous decision, and I thought that was weird. After seeing the scorecards, well, not even the judges' scorecards, I'm not going to talk on that. I didn't really see that in depth, but what I saw was the analyzer scorecards during the fight and after. And they had the first 4 rounds for Ward. And the second round, they had the first 4 rounds for Kovalev. And the second round, Kovalev knocked down Ward. So you got 3 10-9s and 1 10-8. Then it was up and down after that. That seemed to. So I started watching at like round 6. I watched 9 through 12 deep because I was just excited to see it. I just wanted to know whatever. And it's late. I'm after work, whatever. But just watching. So watching from bits and pieces of round 6 through 12. I thought Andre Ward boxed beautifully. I thought it was close, and if you only seen that like I did, then you just looked like Kovalev was trying to chase Ward around and couldn't do nothing with him as much. He was landing shots. It was really close. I thought it was close. I thought it was close as shit. But I thought, having not seen or knowing about the first 4 rounds, I thought that Ward would get it, because usually when they're close like that, like you could look at Leonard, Hagler, Pacquiao, even though Pacquiao Mayweather wasn't close in my opinion, or many people's opinions, but you could argue it's close. Usually when the fights are close, they'll give it to the boxer, the more finesse guy, or they'll say the person pushing the pace, or that's kind of wrong. I think not the person pushing the pace, but controlling the pace, controlling where the fight takes place. Because to me, the pace of a fight is, if we're throwing like one punch a piece, if we're both throwing one punch every 5 seconds, that's a pace, right? One punch every 5 seconds. But now, if he's still punching once every 5 seconds and I start punching twice every 5 seconds, I'm going at a higher pace. And he's going to have to work at that pace, defending 2 punches while only getting off his 1. So that's to me, that's what the pace of a match is. So I don't think you pushing the pace, like just punching more than the other, but controlling. Like if you can punch and with footwork get a guy in the corner, or if you can get out of the corner, or if you can not be on the ropes, or if you're on the ropes and get off them without being punched, or if things like that are control. So being the person, even if you're kind of backpedaling, to me is just when you're just like, right? But like if you're moving around angles, you can be moving backwards, but as long as you're stepping off and moving around, like that's footwork. And at that point, if the guy can't put you somewhere to score his punches, then you're in control of where the fight takes place. Okay? So, to me, and that's why the boxer usually wins those close fights, because if it's close like that, the puncher, the stronger fighter, is probably not getting off what he needs to, because the boxer is keeping him from utilizing the real strong, because a good puncher can't get going unless his feet are set. So you take away from a punching attacker by staying moving, especially when he's trying to get his punches off, because he begins to have to try to keep up instead of can't afford to sit down nice like they want to, so they got to pick up their feet a little more, just a little more, what they're doing. So to me, that's what I saw the last part, just the last part of the fight. So I saw slightly that Andre Ward was able to make Kovalev miss and put the fight where he wanted to. That's kind of what I predicted ahead of time. The boxer will win. I thought it was a 50-50 fight with a 65% chance of a knockout for either fighter. And that's pretty much what happened, I think, from what I've seen. And so I thought Andre Ward controlled it just a little bit better, just a little bit from what I've seen. Now, when I saw the highlights and read the scorecards, I was looking, I was like, ooh, it kind of changed my perception, because if it's close, it's very easy to say, hey, he knocked Ward down, right? So that's why right away people were going to scream dirty, or it was robbery, cheated. They'll scream those things right away because it's close, even if it's close, but the knockdown. See, people judge boxing, especially fans. We're not sitting there with a pen. Some guys are, or in their mind, but we're not sitting there with a pen adding up points per round, which is how boxing is scored. We're watching it based on our feeling and what we're seeing. Being not reminded so much of what really happened in earlier rounds, but remembering how we felt during those earlier rounds. So you can find something in each round at the time where you're like, oh, it was close, I don't know. Oh, it was close, I don't know. But and what I'm saying is, imagine if you came into the fight wishing or cheering for Andre Ward, and you're like, oh, it's close, I don't know. But you're cheering for him, you want him to win. But you're like, oh, I don't know. By round 5, by round 6, Andre, it's still close. You're like, I don't know. But round 6, maybe he gets off a really good punch, and now Kovalev's missing a lot. So your current feeling of him doing something great in round 6 can make you feel like what he was doing earlier was just as great and delivered round 6, which in a sense it did, but what he did earlier still shouldn't have. You shouldn't give him points earlier for points he's gained now. And that's kind of a thing I think people do accidentally, because it's easy to do. You're in the fight, you're cheering, and you remember how you feel, but it's these guys, man. Especially I think and just what I said, I think Kovalev probably should have won, maybe, because of the knockdown. But I'm conflicted because what I saw the 6 to 12 rounds didn't look like Kovalev had very good control. He was in there working. He came there to fight. He was working. He was landing. But I think Andre Ward, if Kovalev threw 10 shots, he probably landed like 5 or 6 of them. So he punched a little bit more. But Ward probably threw 5 shots and landed like 4 of them or 5 of them. So he was sharper, which is what gave him the illusion of, well, actually it is. He's boxing better. He's doing less and achieving more. Where Kovalev is doing more and not achieving quite as much what he should be. I'm saying this fight is really close, but I'm breaking it down. So it's not very definitive for me. I didn't see it all the way through. I'd feel different if I saw it all the way through and I sat down and I was only watching the fight and I was only focusing on that, and I'd have a better breakdown for you of it. But I'm just trying to tell you maybe something you missed, or maybe you don't understand how it's scored, or maybe a little influences or tips here or whatever. But just how I saw it, and I was happy Andre Ward won. I think he's a better boxer, and he's really smart. His IQ is really high. I seen him doing a couple of things where he looked kind of weird, he does an awkward approach sometimes to getting in and out, and he's kind of weird to strike. Like Floyd's really slick, and he's hard to hit. But Andre Ward's slick too, but he's kind of unusual. He moves a little differently than the traditional way that you might be used to seeing or dealing with. So he's got a lot of uniqueness to him, to what he does in there. You know, a lot of boxers, you can learn the basics, and then after you learn the basics of boxing, like how to punch correctly, how to throw the one, how to defend the one, how to slip the two, how to throw, you know, you learn on paper how boxing's supposed to be done. You got those things done, then you can add your own swagger and your own ideas of how you want and the way your physicality works. And what Andre Ward has added to his boxing basics from his mind and understanding is awesome. And it's unique, you know, because you get like guys that like Roberto Duran, I think guys like Kovalev, guys like Gennady Golovkin, guys like Joe Frazier, like, even though those are guys that like kind of follow the basics of boxing and have a hell of a punch and just got really fucking strong, have awesome dedication, and they're really fucking strong and they're in awesome shape, and they can perform the basics of boxing continually and continue to deliver it. So they don't have to, they don't really have to think outside the box as much, because their physicality and their awesome dedication to the basics of boxing allows them to pretty much outwork and hurt and absorb damage from anybody. You know, you're very lucky, and I'm talking about in their prime, which is also why, you know, it's a double-edged sword. Like, yeah, you're gonna be awesome, but fighters like that, they end up taking a little more punishment than the smarter fighters, so they don't last quite as long. The durability's not as long. They seem to be doing well, then one day they kind of just fall off or something, you know, from taking punishment. Because like the day where you, like, even if you're blocking shots, like, they come glancing little shots, even if you get, boom, you're still getting hit, your brain's still, so eventually all that shit adds up, you know. And when you're a great fighter like that, you're only fighting the best. They're awesome. So my point, what I'm trying to say is, like, they don't have to think outside the box as much, but so they do the basics really well, and they're awesome, and they get to that level, and they achieve things that no other human beings can achieve in the ring. Then you have the boxer thinker, who kind of, they do the boxing basics, but maybe they didn't have, like, even if they have a great hard work ethic, maybe it's just not, maybe that's not what drives them. They lose, and instead of losing, and they're like, man, I gotta run faster, they're like, I can't get hit with that punch no more. So they figure out a way to not get hit and deliver or something. You know, you find ways to use your feet better, because maybe you're getting, because like everyone starts out trying to just get strong and fast boxing. But most of us find out that you can't just do that every time. And because what happens when you run up against somebody who's just as big, just as strong, just as fast, what happens? The bigger or the tougher guy is going to win. Or the luckier guy. So to take away some of that toughness and to take away some of that luck, you have to implement strategy. And that's where the science of boxing comes in. That's why Ali was awesome, because a lot of heavyweights were standing just toe-to-toe, banging it out. And that's awesome. We love seeing that. But when Ali was moving like a middle, like a light heavyweight on their asses, heavyweight, bam, bam. It's good to see that from us. Like, you're used to seeing the small guys do shit, but they never seen heavyweights yet, because Ali was thinking outside the box. He was already in great shape, but he's not trying to just get beat up. He thought of a way to beat guys and to make himself marketable without. And he took a lot of punishment. He fought too long, but he still did it. He thought outside the. He found a way to achieve boxing the way that he needed to achieve that, and that's what I'm trying to say, is that styles of boxing are so vast and wide and different, because we all have different ideas of what boxing is. We all have different interpretations of how boxing should be done. You can look at guys like Winky Wright, and you can get a guy like Roy Jones Jr. You can get a guy like Floyd Mayweather, and you get a guy like Manny Pacquiao. You get a guy like Mike Tyson, and you get a guy like Muhammad Ali. You get a guy like Willie Pep, and then you get a guy like Roberto Duran, Ingemar Johansson. You get a guy like Sugar Ray Robinson. The list goes on. And the reason you have so many different cultures, different ideas, but we all have a different imagination on how maybe we should deliver boxing. And that's the only difference, I think, between a boxer and a puncher. Is a puncher made up his mind a long time ago. He's going to get in the awesome shape and perform the basics to the very best. And they get strong, they absorb death punishment, and they get really good at making guys miss, especially the straight punches. And I think what happens to a boxer, a thinker, is they work hard, but there's just something about them that they think outside the box. They want to do it their way a little bit more than the necessarily correct way to do it. Because I'd say Roy Jones did everything wrong, just about, except for moving his feet and head and throwing the punches. No one will ever tell you just put your hands down and let the guy throw and make him it's ridiculous what he's able to do. 4 or 5 left hooks at a time. It was throwing hooks. Multiple left hooks. It doesn't happen that often. So that's my little ramble. When you just remember, when you're watching Ward Kovalev, in any boxing fights, we all come into this, we all want our guy to win all the time. Sometimes we get a lot of emotion put into our country, our money, whatever, but don't let it destroy you for much longer than that night or something, because the judges and the people, you never know who's watching what. I'd say I don't call fights robberies unless it's really like straight up you can say it's a robbery. Like if Ward would have got knocked down 3-4 times and he still would have won, then I'm like, there's no fucking way. That's impossible. Can't get knocked down 4 or 5 times in a fight and still win without low blows or something crazy. It's almost impossible. So that I would argue, yeah, that's clearly robbed, or the guy is just getting manhandled the whole fight, clearly robbed. But this was, what I saw was awesome, beautiful boxing from Andre Ward. I saw great dedication from Kovalev, great pace. Kovalev was thinking too. It forced him to think. You seen him, he was getting frustrated, and he actually was starting to think, trying to figure things out. But since he's not used to having to think on the fly like that, everything is usually working for him. He doesn't have to think how to cut a guy off the ring as much. He doesn't have to think how he's going to get that punch, how to make a guy miss, because he does the basics so well, and other guys he's fighting aren't as smart as Andre Ward, so he does that. So my point is, Kovalev did some great things, especially early on, and Andre Ward found a way to change what Kovalev was doing. He adapted during the fight. He changed, he thought. Kind of like Mayweather did to Maidana, like Ali did to Foreman. Like Brock Lesnar did to Shane Carwin. Almost, that's stupid. I don't know why I said that. It's a wall. A point. So, and Andre adapted, and Kovalev didn't. So at the end of the day, I'm going to say it should go to Ward. He had struggle and overcame it. He made it different. He changed while Kovalev didn't. That's why it worked extremely well, Kovalev, early on. And you can call it gassing out or stamina or whatever you want. He didn't gas out. The game came to fight. Ward thought his way through it. Stayed relaxed, made a miss, adapted. So I give it to Ward. Give it to Ward, homie. And don't start rioting, don't destroy me, don't destroy each other over it. Maybe they'll fight again, make enough noise, maybe they'll fight again. Whatever. Just be happy you got a great fight. I thought that was a great fight. I really did. I'm going to watch it in full.